What is ChatGPT and why should you care about it? You've probably seen ChatGPT mentioned in the news, YouTube, or wherever else you're getting information. But seriously, what is it? What does it do? And what can it do for you? Well, let's run a Google search here. We've trained ChatGPT, OpenAI, ChatGPT, and Wikipedia, a chatbot developed by OpenAI and launched in November of 2022. What it is a cutting edge language model developed by OpenAI that has the ability to understand and respond to human language with very high accuracy. But what does that mean? It means you can interact with ChatGPT by typing like you're chatting with a friend, and it's able to understand your natural human language. You want ideas about a business you're working on? No problem. Writing an article or a paper? Yep. Brainstorming session, history research, coding question, ChatGPT can help. So sign up for our class today. We'll get you started right away. My name is James Gregg. I'm a recovering IT professional turned entrepreneur. I'm excited to discuss with you what ChatGPT can do for you. In this video, we'll explore a number of benefits you'll experience from learning how to use ChatGPT and how it can help you in your personal and professional life. This will be just a quick overview hitting on a number of topics that we'll dive deeper into in later modules in the course. So first of all, ChatGPT can help you communicate more effectively. It provides accurate and relevant responses in real time. So if you're communicating with customers, colleagues, friends, ChatGPT can help understand their needs and respond in a way that's helpful and professional, or not professional, depending on what you're looking for. Here's a few examples of that. Real-time assistance. What if someone's talking and they reference an event that you don't really know what it was? What was the Battle of the Bulge? I don't know where that's going to come up, but hey, here it is. The Battle of the Bulge was a major World War II battle fought on December 16, 1944. Boom, real-time information. Now, this can talk about not only what it was, but also the significance of the war, if you push that far. It can do language translation on the fly. More advanced versions of ChatGPT can also do text-to-speech and speech-to-text. It can provide email and message assistance. So ChatGPT, as we'll discuss later, could be a great source for a chatbot or more advanced customer service. Another great way to use ChatGPT is enhanced creativity. It can come up with new ideas. It can help you brainstorm, give you a different perspective, or just suggestions on something that you're working on. So one of these things is writing assistance. It can help generate ideas, plot lines, characters. It can help with editing, proofreading, generating summaries from written content. Let's work on an example of that real quick. Write an outline of a story about someone in the Battle of Normandy. Look at this. Character introduction. Private James Anderson, age, occupation, personality traits. This is just going to go. It's actually very creative for being a computer. Okay, there we have it. It's actually very creative. It could be a great start to a piece about someone in that battle in World War II. Okay, also, ChatGPT can help with content generation, such as articles, blog posts, social media posts. That's one we're going to do a deep dive on later. Marketing and advertising, creative ad copy, social media post, product descriptions. It can do design assistance, suggesting color ideas, layouts, and typography, idea generation. One of my favorites for that is idea generation. It can provide lists. It can provide topic ideas, etc. So with all of these uses and more, this is really just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to go deeper on a number of these topics. As we go, I'm going to invite you to pause the video, log into your ChatGPT, and explore some of these on your own. As you'll come to see, one of the great strategies with ChatGPT is to ask and ask and ask again. You don't like the response? Modify your question. Ask more specifically. Ask with a different description, and it will tailor its responses as it gets to know you and as it better understands your questions and as you modify your requests and really get to dig into the system and understand what it can do for you. Let's talk about how you can get started with ChatGPT. In this video, we're going to walk through the nuts and bolts of getting set up and getting logged in so you too can start accessing the module. So first of all, what we need to do is go to chat.openai.com. It'll take you to this page here where you can log in or sign up. We'll click on sign up. Create your account. We're going to create our email address, type in our email address, continue, and create your password. Now from there, it will send you an email that you will need to click on to confirm your email address. So don't use none@none.com, but use a legit email address. Once you've confirmed your email address, you'll be able to get logged in to the ChatGPT console, which looks something like this. They are currently iterating and developing this. So if this looks different by the time that you get logged in, I would not be surprised. But obviously something like this with an opportunity to enter in the queries and questions that you're going to answer. Okay, now that you're logged in, this is where all the magic happens. We'll use this prompt to enter information if we are going to be uploading information for ChatGPT to read through, if we're going to be entering code snippets for it to analyze and understand, or if we're just asking it questions about various historical things, asking for ideas on marketing, etc. So what I'd invite you to do here is just ask a few random questions of ChatGPT just so you can start to understand the flow of this better, and we will pick back up in our next module. So now that you've got the basics down of ChatGPT, how to get logged in, and you've asked it a few questions, let's start talking about some specific use cases. One that I want to start with is something that we've all probably experienced, and that's writing a cover letter. Writing a cover letter for a job can be a daunting task, especially when you're trying to stand out amongst countless other applicants. So let's see if ChatGPT can help us out with this. Now, this is a good time, I think, to provide you one of the caveats that I've experienced with ChatGPT, and that's that the model can't necessarily log into a website, a database website, and go pull out information. So one of the things that it's not going to be able to do is get into, let's say, LinkedIn, where you are logged in, and find a job description there. So you need to either copy and paste that job description or give ChatGPT a public link that it can access. So what I'm going to do here, and this is without a lot of prep work, so this might be a challenge, but what I want to do is find a job posting on the public side of LinkedIn that we can access here. Again, I started doing this with my own LinkedIn profile, and I tried to send it a job application where I was logged in, but obviously ChatGPT is not logged in as me, nor is it logged in as you. So it's going to have a tough time accessing that. All right, so here's an example. This is interesting. This is just what popped up right away on the LinkedIn website, a logistics coordinator for Giorgio Armani. So what we'll do is we'll click on this. So we go to that particular job postings URL. We'll grab the URL, and then we are going to go back to ChatGPT and see what it comes up with. Okay, so let's look through this. Coordinator logistics at Giorgio Armani. Background includes coordinating logistics for both domestic and international operations, managing inventory, timely delivery of goods. Let's see what they're interested here, just to see if ChatGPT has done a good job of pulling in information. Logistics coordinator. I think that seems pretty well suited. Now, the caveat with this is ChatGPT in this setup does not have your exact qualifications and experience. So obviously you'll need to tweak this a little bit, but what I like to use ChatGPT for is a shortcut as opposed to an all-in-one solution. So I'd see this as a starting point for a cover letter. Now, let's talk about another way that ChatGPT can help with cover letters, and that is editing and reviewing cover letters. Again, ChatGPT is an expert with neurolinguistics, understanding the text and the meaning behind the text. So what we can do, and I'm curious how this will work with this example, I'm just going to take this cover letter and let's enter it into the model and just see what it does here. How could we improve this letter? You could also say, review this for grammar. You could say, make this cover letter more passionate, rewrite with more passion, rewrite with more excitement. You can instruct ChatGPT like you would a person, and in general, get back very good responses. Now, lastly, ChatGPT can help with proofreading and grammar checks to ensure that your cover letter is free of errors, presents a professional image, etc. Now with this strategy, you can just enter your cover letter again or enter the public link to the job and just ask for improvement ideas, ask for grammar checking, etc. So there you have it. This is just one quick and easy thing that ChatGPT can do that most of us have experienced in our professional careers. I would invite you to go find your most recent cover letter and put it into the model and see what it can do to offer suggestions for improvement or offer suggestions to modify the grammar in it, as well as maybe go find a job posting that you're interested in and see what ChatGPT can do with your experience with the job posting and creating a new cover letter for you. In this module, we're going to explore the next example of ChatGPT's capabilities with history research. Now, how many of us are doing history research on a day-to-day basis? Probably not very many, but I think this gives a great example of the ability that ChatGPT has to go find information and assemble that and present it in a way that's very user-friendly. So first step here, obviously, we're going to go out to the ChatGPT prompt and we are going to ask a question. It can be a specific question on a topic that you're researching, or it can be something a little bit more narrow. So I'm going to start with something that's just a little bit out in left field. What was the significance of the Battle of Waterloo? If you've heard of that, great. If you haven't, great. I'm not a history buff, which means I'm learning along with you here. Battle of Waterloo was fought in June 1815. Significant because it marked the final defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte and the end of his reign as Emperor of France. Okay, this is great. If you don't know about something, this to me is easier than Googling it because Google is going to give me a list of links. Then I have to go figure out which one I want to click on. This gives me 3-4 sentences summarizing what I needed to know. So once we've got the initial response here, you can always go further into it. Ask a follow-up question, ask for more details, ask whatever else that you're interested in learning about this. So you can ask more about historical facts, dates, names, people that were involved, maybe the events leading up to this, maybe more about this war in general. The battle was fought between the French army led by Napoleon and a coalition of British, Dutch, and German forces led by the Duke of Wellington. Maybe there's more you want to know about this. And again, I understand that most of us are not doing history research. I'm just using this as an example to say, how can ChatGPT go out and get information and present it in a clear, concise manner that's easy for you to digest and use? So let's try this with another example here, and then we're going to dig into it. What were the causes of the American Revolution? Okay, there we go. Now it's listed these 4 main causes. So using this as an example, we can always dig into these. So the first cause, British taxation policies that were seen as unfair, such as the Stamp Act, which imposed taxes on printed materials in the colony. Tell me more about the Stamp Act. We'll see what it says about that. All right, there we have it. Spit out a ton of information about the Stamp Act. And this, I think, is a good example of how to use ChatGPT. We ask it a simple question: what were the causes of the American Revolution? It gives us these 4, as well as a little bit of beginning and ending to that. Now, you can take it where you want to go with this. Are you curious about the Stamp Act? Are you curious about restrictions on colonial trade? Maybe you're curious about more causes for the American Revolution? Who knows? Again, this is just a demonstration of interacting with ChatGPT and how you can take that and kind of turn the conversation in the direction that you want it to go. Also, now, if you are working on writing a paper, either a historical research paper or a paper on something else, one of the techniques that I like to use with ChatGPT is to start broad and then go deeper, deeper, deeper as it presents you this information. So if I was writing a paper on this, obviously this result here, the American Revolution, 4 bullet points and then a wrap-up sentence, is probably not the full paper. But what you can do is you can say, tell me more about number 1, tell me more about number 2, 3, 4, and then you can include all this information, copy and paste it into here, pull this out into a Word doc or Google Doc, whatever works for you. And then now you're starting to get a more thorough understanding of an event or of something that you're researching without, let's be honest, without a ton of research. Now, one caveat that I have to offer with this is, like we talked about before, ChatGPT does not currently have the capability of going into an active database and going out to search that. So what this is going to be doing is going to be searching more static sources of information. One of the tests that I gave ChatGPT was go find me the cheapest flight to Hawaii next week. And it wasn't able to go access the various airline websites or Expedia or aggregator sites to go pull out the information and do the digging to say, okay, well, if you left on Tuesday and came back the following Tuesday, here's the pricing versus Wednesday to Thursday, here's the options there. It doesn't quite have that capability yet, but honestly, I think by us getting in on the ground floor and understanding and working with ChatGPT now, we'll be ready to be able to use it when those capabilities do develop. So again, I understand that you and I are probably not doing a ton of history research, but I wanted to use this as an example of how to interact with ChatGPT, how to take a topic that seems like it could be answered in 2 or 3 sentences, go deeper, get ChatGPT to provide you with more information based on what you are looking for your particular situation. I would invite you to pause the modules now, go do a little bit of history research or research on another topic and practice the give and take with ChatGPT, asking for more information on certain topics and digging in where you think it's most interesting. And we'll pick back up in the next module. All right, welcome back, guys. In this module, we are going to talk about something that's a little bit more applicable, and that's using ChatGPT to write a book summary. Now, that's not to say that everyone taking this class is a college student who needs to be writing summaries about A Catcher in the Rye, but this is something that just came up in my life recently, so I thought I'd share about it with ChatGPT. I'm in a mastermind, and my assignment is to read a book called Traction by Gino Wickman. So let's use that as an example here. And if you're not a big reader, or if you want a summary of a book before you jump into it, or if you need to understand the concepts of a book, but if you don't necessarily have or want to take the time to go and read through that, let's see if ChatGPT can help with that. Write a book summary about Traction by Gino Wickman. All right, there we have it. There's our summary about this book. It provides a framework for entrepreneurs and business leaders. The book introduces the entrepreneurial operating system and a comprehensive system of 6 key components. These include vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. Now, I'm not going to assume that you or I are going to get everything out of this everything out of this 3-paragraph summary that we would out of an entire book. So again, this is where we go back and forth with ChatGPT and see if we can learn a little bit more. Tell me about the entrepreneurial operating system that was referenced earlier. Great. Okay, here we go. Now, this gives us a little bit more detail in each one of those 6 items that mentioned earlier: vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. Now, this tells us a little bit more. If you wanted to go deeper, again, you could say, tell me more about vision, tell me more about people, or tell me more about number 1, write more about this, give me more information about this. ChatGPT is only going to go so far as you ask it to go. Now, I'm not going to suggest that you use ChatGPT to write a book summary that you can present to your boss or to your professor or to anybody else, but I think this is a really great way to get a high-level understanding of a book if you don't have the time to devote to going through and giving it full read. Now, I know I think I jokingly mentioned Catcher in the Rye before, but I want to come back to that and see if ChatGPT can not only summarize a book. Obviously, Traction, this book is very cut and dry. This is a business book. It's not talking about esoteric concepts or higher level thinking. Let's see if ChatGPT can perform some of those functions as well. Now, I'm not familiar with Catcher in the Rye. I've just heard the title. All right, there we have it. Thanks, ChatGPT. I think this is a great example. This is not just a research tool that goes out and does 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's not just a research tool that pulls the basic data, but it looks like ChatGPT here is getting a deeper understanding and providing a deeper insights into this book. So Catcher in the Rye is a novel that explores the themes of alienation, identity, and coming of age. Alienation is a significant theme. Holden feels disconnected from the people and society. He's critical of the adult world. Identity is another prominent theme in the novel as he grapples with the questions about who he is and who he wants to become. Coming of age, he navigates the challenges and uncertainties of adolescence. I mean, this is more than just a book summary. I think this is getting into the next level thinking, which blows my mind. It's getting into the next level thinking about some of these themes and topics. Now, what I would challenge you to do is think of either a business, a straightforward nonfiction book that you've read recently. Ask it for a summary of that and see what it comes back with. See if ChatGPT's understanding of the book is the same as your understanding of the book, just as a way for you to do some cross-referencing and some checks and balance here. And then also I would invite you to ask for the themes, ask for a summary of a nonfiction book, a literary classic maybe, and use that as another example to better understand the processing capability of ChatGPT and how it can do some remarkably next level thinking. And that wraps it up for this module. Again, I'll invite you to do a little deeper dive here, jump into that homework, and then join us in the next module. Welcome back. In this module, we are going to talk about using ChatGPT to help you prepare for a job interview. As you might expect, ChatGPT can offer quite a bit of interesting information as you're getting ready. So let's start out with something basic. And we are just going to start to ask it for some tips, some tricks, and some questions that we can prepare for. Give me a list of common job interview questions. So this is a great list and gives you a lot of information to work off of. So let's just kind of start to dive into some of these here. Can you tell us about yourself? Let's just see what it says here. How should I answer question number 1? All right, I like this. So it tells us a little bit about why people ask this question. It's used as an icebreaker to get the conversation started. And if you've gone through a job interview, I'm sure you know that and have experienced that. But it's also a chance for you to give a brief overview of your personal and professional background. Here are some tips that you can use. Keep your response concise, focus on relevant information, emphasize the achievements, tailor your response to the job, along with an example question. I like this. Okay, so how else can we use ChatGPT to prepare for a job interview? Obviously, I would recommend going through and asking it the same question for each one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through number 15, because hey, it might have some insights that that you might not be aware of, or you might have been out of the job interview circuit for a while. So it might be nice to brush up on those types of things. Another way that I thought would be interesting to use ChatGPT was to do a little bit of company research. So in an earlier module, I think we were talking about a position with Giorgio Armani. So let's ask it a little bit about that and see how it might be able to help us there. Why would I want to work at Giorgio Armani for a job interview? Maybe not the best framed question, but let's see what it comes up with. All right, wonderfully enough, it was able to answer my strangely broken English here and figure out what I was asking. When answering the question, why do you want to work for Giorgio Armani in a job interview? It's important to show that you've done your research on the company, have a genuine interest in working there. So here's a few great reasons why one might want to work at Giorgio Armani. Now, I'm not saying that you should interview and say this exact thing, but this starts to give you an overview of the company and maybe a couple points that you can bring up. Obviously, if any of these are particularly important to you, you can always go into more of these. Tell me more about number 1. Tell me more about number 2, etc. Another interesting thing that I've found with preparing for a job interview with ChatGPT is giving it your response to a question and seeing if it can give you feedback. So This is a bit tricky and did not go super smoothly, to be quite honest with you, as I was testing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up the voice recorder here on my computer and provide an example answer for the question, tell me about yourself. I'm not going to make you sit through it, nor am I going to make you listen to it. And then what I'm going to do is I will upload that into Google Drive. And then from Google Drive, you can click on the file itself. Don't click on the folder that it's in, but click on the file itself. Click sharing. Anyone can access that. And then we're going to grab that link. We're going to slap it here into ChatGPT and see if we can get a good response back from this. So it did what I thought it was going to do, and it was a little bit standoffish here. It says, I'm sorry, but as an AI language model, I don't have access to the Google Drive file you shared. However, I can give some general feedback. So when I asked ChatGPT how to upload a file, it said you can't upload a file to this interface. What you can do is you can use a couple other chatbots that use the ChatGPT API as a backend, but you can't necessarily upload directly to this. So here we go. I guess I just had to remind it that it told me to share my Google Drive file this way. I think this functionality of ChatGPT is not quite up to par, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I would definitely invite you to play around with this if this is something that is at all of interest to you. I might even ask it for specifics about your response, just to be sure that it's listening to and analyzing the file that you upload correctly. But this is just one more way to get information into the system if you need to share something. Now, in addition to the audio file that I uploaded, that could be a Google Sheet, that could be a Word doc of some sort. But honestly, for those types of files, I would almost just copy them and paste them right in here, just so you know the module is getting the information that you want it to get. So this is a little repetitive, I know that, but going back to our previous question of just give me job interview questions, I wanted to see if we could tailor this down a little bit tighter to behavioral interview questions. Now, this is really good information. I think behavioral interview questions are designed to help the interviewer understand how you've handled specific situations in the past, how you're likely to behave in a similar situation in the future. Now, if you've done any amount of job interviews, you know that. You know the STAR technique: situation, task, action, result. But, Chat GPT might remind you of something that's buried deep inside your head that you don't have on the forefront, or it might help you work through a scenario in a slightly better or slightly more professional presentation as you're getting ready. So I think with this, I'd be interested in seeing what are the top behavioral questions that might come up in a job interview. And then if you are genuinely interested in using ChatGPT to prepare you for your next job interview, I would invite you to not only ask about the behavioral questions, not only ask about the standard questions, ask ChatGPT to give you the basics for why each question is asked and what are the best ways to answer it, but then also try out that method of uploading a file to ChatGPT, giving it your response, and seeing what it has to say. So with that, I think there's a lot of potential homework here if you want to dive into this. So I'd invite you to stop this module, go into ChatGPT, answer a couple of these questions, ask it for some more detailed information about a couple of these questions, and we will get back together in the next module. Welcome back. In this module, we are going to talk about using ChatGPT to code a macro in Microsoft Excel. So this is something that could be very daunting to someone who doesn't have any coding experience. What is a macro in Excel? What does it do? How do I use it, etc.? And this is definitely not an Excel course, but just as a high level, a macro in Excel is a program that can take away a bunch of clicks and turning them into a program that you can execute easily with a single click. I think the easiest thing to do with this is just start to talk examples. So one example of an Excel macro might be to go through your entire workbook and to print the print selected portion of each worksheet, the individual tabs, on a separate PDF. So this might come in handy if you are working on some sort of an accounting presentation and you need to print this page, this page, this page, this page, and you need to take a screenshot of where you are in time, or who knows. It's just kind of an example. So again, we are going to get into the ChatGPT interface, and this type of thing, you need to be very specific about the way you phrase it, but it's ChatGPT, so you can always type it, and retype it if you don't like the results. Let's give it a shot. All right, so here we go. It gives us all the code here that we can copy and paste. Now, if you're new to using Excel macros, let's go a little bit further and ask it for some additional information. Okay, there we go. Open your Excel workbook, press Alt F11, open the Visual Basic Editor, then we copy and paste, save this to run that. Okay, so that's a lot of good information, especially for someone who doesn't have a familiarity with Excel macros. Now, of course, this is an intro, so we're not going to go deep into Excel macros, but for someone who wants to explore some of that functionality, I think this is a great first step, and ChatGPT can really kind of walk you through what is a macro, what does it do, what can it do? I mean, maybe there's things in Excel that you're doing on a daily basis that you don't know could be done by a macro. And not only could ChatGPT help you figure out what you can do to save time, but it could also come up with the code. Another interesting part of using ChatGPT to work on Excel macros is troubleshooting. So this is just VBA code, Visual Basic code. So what it can do is with this or with other code, it can troubleshoot for you. So what I've done is I've copied and pasted some Excel VBA code into another window. I've modified it slightly to basically make an error. So let's say you're hand coding a macro in Excel, and you're slightly tweaking a macro in Excel, and all of a sudden it doesn't work. You need some help troubleshooting. Oftentimes, it's just a minor syntax error that you come up with. You're missing a colon or an equal sign or something, but your eyes are just not catching it. The beautiful thing with ChatGPT is it can catch it for you. Troubleshoot this code. So what I did with this code was I just took functioning code, I deleted one character, and I just wanted to see how ChatGPT would respond to that. And obviously it found it right away. What I would do is invite you again, if you are a macro user or a VBA user, to just put something into ChatGPT the next time you run into a slight problem and see if it can point you in the right direction. So as we wrap up this Excel macro module, I want to invite you to get into your own ChatGPT and figure out some Excel macros that this might be able to help you with, and just kind of get more familiar with asking it for advice or troubleshooting or those types of things. But before we do that, let's use ChatGPT to come up with some example Excel macros that you might be able to explore and see if any of these might save you a little bit of time or effort in your day-to-day work. Okay, so here we go. This is a great list. Data cleaning macros, report generation, data analysis, data import, export, data validation, conditional formatting, pivot table macros. Homework from this module, I would invite you to go through this list and see if any of these pop out as something that would be interesting to you or that might be able to save you some time. If you're already an Excel Power user and you've got something in mind, even better. So go into your ChatGPT. If you're new to Excel macros, I would ask it about some of these macros, see which one might be the most interesting or the most useful for you. Again, if you're a power user and you already know what would be most useful for you, ask ChatGPT to write you an Excel macro, put it into Excel, see if you need any troubleshooting from there or if it's able to save you a little bit of time. So get into that. I know that's a little bit more complicated than the normal homework, but I'd invite you to jump into that, explore some macros, explore ChatGPT and its coding capabilities, and we will get back together in the next module. Welcome back. In this module, we are going to use ChatGPT to answer some emails. So first things first, as normal, we want to get into the ChatGPT module here. And with emails, there are some email clients that use natural language processing already to offer potential suggestions to emails. But what we're going to do in this module is use the ChatGPT to answer emails. So we're going to do some copying and pasting here, and then we'll talk about integrations later in the module. So First of all, what we want to do is I just want to give an example of how ChatGPT can respond to something. What I've done is I've copied just like a negative review, and we're going to see how ChatGPT responds to that. Write an email response to this review. All right, here we go. We've got ChatGPT's response, which seems quite professional, quite kind. Now, if you read through this and you think it's, gosh, maybe not nice enough or too nice or needs to be tweaked in some way, we can always ask it to rewrite. So I'm going to say rewrite more kindly, and we'll see what ChatGPT comes up with. Let's see how this goes. We're truly sorry to hear. So I want to go back and forth and kind of compare and contrast. So the first paragraph, sorry to hear about your recent experience with our products. Strive to provide high quality products. Truly sorry to hear that you're not satisfied with our product. You have a negative experience with our customer service team. So this is just a little bit softer language. So let's see if we can go the other way. React more harshly. I love this response. ChatGPT wants to maintain a professional and courteous tone, so it's not going to rewrite more harshly. I asked it to write with a snarky tone in a test run, and it gave me the same response. But we can do something if you want to tighten this up a little bit, nonetheless. Let's just say to rewrite shorter. See what it comes up with for that. All right, so ChatGPT can still kind of tailor its responses to what you need. The rewrite more kindly version here is 3-4 kind of longish paragraphs. The shorter is 3 sentences. So as we've learned in many modules now, you can tailor the results to what you're looking for by asking it to rewrite its responses or by just modifying your request to the module. One thing that we referenced at the beginning of this module was the idea of tying in your existing email platform to ChatGPT, and that would be something that you do with the OpenAI API, and that is going to be a little bit beyond this course because this is more of an intro course. But if you're familiar with Gmail, that does something similar with natural language processing. In Gmail, as you're typing, it'll often provide a suggestion of where you might want to go with this. I think Outlook does this as well. So that's something similar to what ChatGPT can do. It's just that that's just proprietary to Google and Gmail as opposed to OpenAI and ChatGPT. But if you do want to integrate ChatGPT specifically into your email, there are a few integration options for that, but it might not be available for every email service. So as we wrap this email up, I would just invite you to go in, find an email or two that you can give to ChatGPT, see what it comes up with, and or find a review or two that you can input into ChatGPT, see what it comes up with for responses to those as well. And we will get back together in the next module. Welcome back. In this module, we're going to be talking about using ChatGPT as a language translation tool. As you know, it's got very strong advanced languaging processing capabilities. So ChatGPT does a really good job of translating human language. One thing to be aware of with ChatGPT is that the way that the module is built and designed is that as it's translating, it doesn't just translate word for word, but what it does is it reads a sentence, understands the meaning behind it, and then translates that in the grammar that's appropriate for the language that you're translating into. So if you're familiar with another language, then you would know that, let's say, French and English grammar, they can convey the same message, but they're not going to use the same words in the same order, in the same tense, etc. So ChatGPT is able to understand what you're trying to say, understand the meaning of what you're saying with written words, and then translate that appropriately into the other language. It can handle a variety of languages, Spanish and French, more common ones, English, of course, as well as more rare languages. It says Swahili and Farsi as well, but obviously you'll need to be able to input things in a standard alphabet or have some very advanced keyboard skills to enter things in other languages if you want to try that. So let's try an example here. We're going to have ChatGPT do some creative writing for us, and then we'll translate that back and forth. We'll just kind of see how it does. Okay, here we go. We've got a nice little short story. I love history because I think it just gives good examples. So let's ask this to translate into Spanish. Okay, here we go. I am unfortunately not bilingual. I cannot judge the accuracy of this translation. So let's do this. I'm going to take this, I'll copy that, and I'll just ask it to translate this back into English. Sometimes when I've done these in the past, it stops translating after 50 or 70 or 80%. So sometimes in those scenarios, you can just ask it to keep writing, keep translating, and it generally continues on and finishes the task. Okay, so let's compare this to before, fought for the country. There's that, fought for his country. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs. Yeah, looks, I mean, without going word for word, this looks pretty similar. So good example of the translation there. If you want to take this a little bit further, you certainly can. As homework, I would ask it to write a short story or enter something that you've written. Ask it to translate it into Swahili or French or German or whatever language you're interested, just to kind of see what it can do. One thing that I've seen that some online entrepreneurs are doing is they're using this translation service instead of paying someone on the internet. They'll just use ChatGPT. You can publish your blog in multiple languages that way, or you can publish an ebook in multiple languages that way, or maybe even develop some sort of a have your kid learn Spanish sort of an ebook. I think I've seen one of those before, but all sorts of interesting opportunities that you can use ChatGPT's language translation skills for. Again, homework for you on this one, I would just invite you to go out to ChatGPT, ask it to do some translation of some writing, maybe some simple writing, as well as some more advanced writing, and just see what it comes up with for you. And we will get back together in the next module. Hey everyone, and welcome back. In this module, we're going to talk about how to use ChatGPT to create amazing content. If you're a marketer, a writer, or just someone looking to generate some creative ideas, ChatGPT can be a valuable tool for you. And this is the module for that. So let's get started. Obviously, we're going to jump right into the ChatGPT interface here. Now, there are a few different ways that you can use ChatGPT for content creation, and we're going to jump through some of those ideas here. So number one, generating headlines or captions. Give ChatGPT a prompt like write a catchy headline for an article about healthy eating, and we'll see what it comes up with. An attention-grabbing headline can make all the difference in getting readers to click on and engage with your content. So here we go. Revamp your plate, the ultimate guide to delicious and nutritious eating. I love it. Let's push it a little bit further, though, and see what else it can do for us with this headline idea. All right, here we go. 10 ideas for headlines, article titles, whatever you want to call them. Discover the surprising benefits of yoga, find your inner zen, unlock the secrets of yoga, get your on, experience the power of yoga, boost your strength, balance, and peace of mind. This is good stuff. Now, I'm not a yoga person, but if you're getting started with a yoga blog, or if you need to relate to a content and topic idea that's maybe outside of your realm of expertise, I think this is a really great tool. But what if you like some of these and not the others? Or what if you're putting together a big project and you need not 5 or 10 articles, but you need 50? Let's ask ChatGPT for more. Here's another 20 on top of our original 10. Okay, so from there, now you should have the opportunity to go through these and pick out the ones that you like. Maybe you like them all, maybe you like half. You can, if you like some of them but you want more, obviously go ahead, ask it for more, or ask it for more in a different way, maybe edgier or maybe lighter, longer, shorter, whatever makes sense for your particular instance. What I want to do next though is see if we can have it start to do some content generation for us as well. Write an SEO optimized article about this topic. I've found that when I have ChatGPT write an article for me, sometimes it's not quite long enough. And sometimes if I'm having it write multiple articles about something that's similar, it'll use the same or a very similar introduction and conclusion. So when that happens, I just kind of accept the fact that sometimes I need to do some rewriting. And if it's not long enough, I also accept the fact that maybe it makes sense to go in here and ask it to elaborate on some of these things. If that's what you're looking for, what you can do sometimes is say, write more, or write more about paragraph 2, or write more about options 1 through 4. So let's just ask it to write this article, but longer. Here we go. Longer version of this article. I love it. Obviously, if you need to have a short form, ask it to write, but shorter. It's all about kind of dialing in your needs with ChatGPT. As I've said in other modules, to me, it's an iterative process where you ask it a question, it gives you a result, and you say, oh, that's what you were thinking. Okay, well, I was thinking a little bit over here, a little bit over there. You tweak your request from there, it tweaks the result, and you iterate back and forth until it spits out exactly what you're looking for. Another type of content generation would be generating ideas. Let's say you feel stuck or you need inspiration for a project. You can use ChatGPT to generate some ideas. For example, generate 5 new marketing strategies for a clothing brand. Interestingly enough, these strategies are different than some of the strategies that I got from ChatGPT when I was running this example in a test. So it's always evolving and changing and modifying and learning. So if you wanted to, we could go back and ask it for more, asking for another 5 or 10. Also interesting, I'm noticing that these responses are quite a bit longer than they might need to be. Influencer marketing, partnering with popular social media influencers, couple sentences about each one. Whereas normally what I found with ChatGPT is, and this kind of thing, it'll give you social responsibility plus maybe a 1 sentence answer. So I think what is happening here is because we asked ChatGPT to write something longer for us up here, it's keeping that in mind as it's continuing to give us more content. It's saying, oh, this user wants longer content, so I'm just going to make everything a little bit longer. So next up is writing articles or blog posts. Now, we touched on this earlier. Obviously, ChatGPT can assist with writing an outline if that's what you want to do, and then you can fill in the article content. Or as we demonstrated earlier, ChatGPT can write the entire article for you. Depending on your level of comfort with ChatGPT and depending on the types of output that you're looking for, an outline could be a great option for you because it gives you some talking points of something to write about, but it doesn't necessarily do all the work for you. So you can say, I wrote this article. Another option might be to have ChatGPT just write the introduction for an article. Here we go. Nice introduction. Again, I think this is trending longer than ChatGPT normally spits out because of our prompt earlier to give us that longer length. Another functionality that I've explored with ChatGPT is writing in a blog article with a certain length. I say that because my wife used to be a writer for a blog and she was paid by the 1,000 words. And with her assignments, they would say, write 1,000 words on this, write 1,500 words on that, write 1,600 words on this. And they were generally very specific about how many words they wanted. Depending on how your blog or your online content works, you might have a word length that you don't want to exceed, or you might have a longer word length that you want every blog article to exceed and beyond. So let's explore this idea. And I want to demonstrate a couple quick caveats as well as you're giving it specific length instructions. Do you see the problem? If you give ChatGPT a specific word count, write a 1,000 word article about that, it will give you 1,000 words and it'll stop there. Let's see if we say at least 1,000 words. Not sure if you saw the problem there. So let's scroll back up to it. I asked for a longer article. It gives me a 1,000-word article, then it said write it longer. And it came back with, again, a sentence that didn't quite end. So didn't quite end properly. When that happens, what you just need to do is just tell it to keep writing. And that's if it's writing a short story, if it's writing a blog article, if it's writing part of a book for you, just keep writing. And eventually it'll keep writing and it'll come down to a nice conclusion here. I think that's just another good demonstration of how ChatGPT can be kind of an iterative process. We go back and forth a little bit. It writes, you give feedback. It writes, you give feedback. And eventually you get to where you want to get to. Now, lastly, with content creation, I want to talk a little bit about the tonality of ChatGPT. It gives you, I think, a pretty decent tone to start with, but let's see if we can modify this a little bit. Rewrite that article in a more conversational tone. And there we have it. As you can tell and hear just from some of the wording, now you may be thinking, I want to start meditating, but I have no idea where to begin. It followed the instructions. It's just a little bit more conversational. Asked it to rewrite in a more edgy tone. In conclusion, meditation is a hardcore practice that can help you slay your demons and achieve your goals. Don't let anyone tell you it's for hippies. Get out there and crush it like a boss. So again, I think it's doing a pretty good job of taking the instruction here and rewriting. Now, lastly, with content generation, I always want to say that it's wise to read and reread and edit this to make sure that it's exactly what you're looking for. As we just demonstrated, you can change the tonality of the articles. You can make them longer, you can make them shorter. But ultimately, if you're going to have ChatGPT pump out a bunch of articles for you, I would highly, highly recommend, as we mentioned before, to just double check the beginnings, the endings, and make sure that it's not reusing too many ideas, sentences, phrases, etc. Just to be sure that it doesn't come across as machine generated, even though it is. With that, we are going to wrap up this module. Your homework with this one is going to be a little bit more open-ended, and I would invite you to go into the ChatGPT interface and come up with some ideas about how you could use this for blog posts, lists, heck, even have it write you a short story or a full-blown novel, whatever is most interesting to you. But I would just invite you to get in there, have it do some content generation, interact with it as far as length, as far as tone, etc., and see what you can have the interface come up with for you. In this module, we'll be exploring the potential for misinformation while using ChatGPT. Despite its advanced language processing capabilities, ChatGPT is not immune to producing false or misleading information, so it's important for you or any other user to be aware of that potential. Like any AI or computer, ChatGPT is really only as good as the data that it's trained on. So if the training data contains false or misleading information, ChatGPT is going to spit that out like it's truth and not know the difference. So this can be particularly concerning when it comes to very sensitive topics like politics, healthcare, or those types of things where misinformation can have really serious consequences. In our healthcare topic, that's why I wanted to emphasize this idea of using ChatGPT as a tool, as an option for gathering data, and as an idea generation platform that you can bring to your healthcare provider, more than as something that will diagnose whatever condition you have with 100% accuracy and certainty. So always, always, always good to double check what ChatGPT is spitting out and to be cautious as you're making decisions based on what the module is giving you. As a side note, in addition to the misinformation, I think you can also be aware that ChatGPT will usually do a good job of answering a question or performing the task you assign it. But as we've discussed before, you may need to learn how to tweak your request to get exactly what you're looking for. For me, this is often asking it a question and then saying, oh, no, I wanted the information a little bit more like this, or I wanted the writing to have this tone, or I needed at least this many words. Sometimes you don't know how to tweak your request to ChatGPT until you've made a request, you've gotten the response, and you know exactly where you need to go from there. For a couple of those items, we'll cover those more in the content creation module. Now, in addition, ChatGPT is not really capable of verifying the accuracy of the information that it provides. One thing that you can't ask ChatGPT to do is verify what ChatGPT just told you. It's not quite that self-aware, and maybe that's a good thing for humanity. So in conclusion for this module, there's really no homework to do here, but I just wanted to offer this word of warning and a heads up that for the more sensitive topics and the more mission critical requests, you should definitely double check what ChatGPT is doing and saying. I think ChatGPT has a lot of great uses. It can be very creative. It can be very insightful. It can provide a ton of very useful data in very short order. But again, for some of those extremely sensitive issues, just be cautious. I guess that's all we'll say about that for this module, and we'll catch you in the next module. Welcome back. In this module, we are going to explore the potential of ChatGPT and talk about where it's headed in the future and what potential it has to change really how we interact with computers and the internet. As we record this, ChatGPT is new to the world and really just became available a few months ago, but it's already got the potential to revolutionize the way we interact with computers and technology. For example, it could be used to create more advanced virtual assistants that are capable of handling a wider range of tasks and providing more natural and intuitive reactions. So just imagine, if you will, a virtual assistant. I gave an example in an earlier module about ChatGPT's functionality and how it's really limited to accessing internet pages that are more static pages as opposed to dynamic, database-driven pages like finding airfare. But imagine a virtual assistant powered by ChatGPT in the future being able to understand and respond to your natural language commands and requests, and the next level of this being able to go out and do the database searches, find things that are matched to your preferences, and go execute transactions for you or present very intuitive, very detailed and personalized recommendations. That's what's coming here. Now, these ChatGPT enabled virtual assistants are definitely going to be able to perform a wider range of tasks than ChatGPT can currently, from scheduling appointments, sending emails, interfacing with others, doing more detailed research for you. Really, the sky's the limit with where ChatGPT is going. One of the key benefits really that's going to come from ChatGPT in the future is its ability to process and understand a large amount of information very quickly. No matter how fast of a reader you are, you can't process dozens of web pages every minute and all of the new information that's coming out every day quite as fast as ChatGPT can. But in the not too distant future, it's likely that we'll have more advanced capabilities with ChatGPT that allow us to harness its ability to go out and gather and process and understand that quantity of information. So, like its ability to evolve into a next level virtual assistant, ChatGPT is also likely going to find a great place in the customer service and support industry. With its ability to process vast amounts of information and understand what it's processing, it'll likely be able to provide a faster and easier customer service experience once the platform is a little bit more developed. As I've mentioned in previous modules, I've found that sometimes with ChatGPT, you have to really push it to get the information you want. So I think right now with customer service, it would be somewhat limited because it would give you a surface answer instead of the answer that the customer is actually looking for. It would have to dig through this file, look through that database, analyze what the customer's been, what they ordered, what the database was, go look at order processing and timing. And I think right now it's maybe capable of doing that, but I think you need to phrase a request in a very specific way to even get close to having it do that. So I think that's one of the things that will be next level for ChatGPT is just increasing its ability to understand what seems like a surface level request, but then really going deep and delivering exactly what that user intended to ask as opposed to what that user actually asked. Another interesting idea of ChatGPT in the future is, of course, using its language processing capabilities. And we discussed that already in this course, but with its ability to generate content in multiple languages, make it easier to translate content from one language to another, I see that making it just easier for businesses to reach a global audience. Whether you're just an online blogger or you're a massive company looking to translate your website into multiple languages, all of a sudden it's at your fingertips, and you can have someone throw in a bunch of articles and have things translated in a matter of minutes as opposed to days just to interview the right translator, and then more days for that person to spend pounding out the translation. With ChatGPT, it's really just at the click of a button. So I see that as another huge thing coming out with ChatGPT. Lastly, I think ChatGPT is going to continue to expand its coding capabilities. As I've done some of my testing with ChatGPT, it's stated that it's not supposed to be a coding tool, yet it seems to be very capable of writing code as well as debugging code. So I could see that as one more thing that ChatGPT really levels up on in the future. Now, I don't think that's going to be replacing all the coders in Silicon Valley any day soon, but I think it'll certainly expand its capabilities for everyday users to use ChatGPT to add code to their website or their Excel macros or those types of scenarios. So, in conclusion, you are in the right place. ChatGPT is all over the news. All sorts of billionaires and technologists are saying this is going to revolutionize the way we do business on many facets. So, welcome. I'm glad you joined me for this exploration of ChatGPT. I'm very glad that you now have a baseline knowledge of this exciting new tool, this exciting new platform that is likely going to be transforming the way that we use the internet and the way that we do business going forward. I hope you're able to get some great nuggets out of this, but if you haven't gone through and done all the homework assignments for each one of the modules that we discuss at the end of those lessons, I would again just invite you to go back and step through each one of these. ChatGPT, you can talk about it, you can watch someone do it, but I think the best way to really understand ChatGPT is to interact with it yourself. On that note, we are going to wrap up this last module of our course. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of ChatGPT.